Vista number 3 is a challenging par 4, mostly due to its length, but there are some challenges, including here off the tee. We have to, make a decision as to what to hit. For most players, it's just going to be driver. You do want to get as far down the fairway as you can to take some of the length off of this hole, but in some cases you may decide to lay short. There's a fairway bunker over on the right hand side that really makes the fairway pinch in narrow. Anything missed left has a really good chance of going down into the desert area there. There is a little bit of a slope that'll work that way as well. So if you can't fly that bunker and carry it with your tee shot, then it's probably best to play something short of it. There's a wide, generous landing area, and you get a really good look at the green there. It just adds a little more distance to your second shot. But if you can carry that bunker, then again, the fairway opens wide back up right after that, and you have a pretty short and straightforward second shot in after that. Today, in the interest of the video and giving us a little better angle at the hole visually, I've gone ahead and moved up to the copper tee, which will give me an opportunity to hit the tee shot over that bunker. Typically playing from the black tee, this is a hole where, if the weather permits, I might try to hit the driver and it'll stay short of that bunker anyway. But sometimes you might even hit less than that just to make sure that you stay short. But again, with today's conditions and playing from the copper tee box, we're going to go ahead and try to carry that bunker and see if we can't set ourselves up for a really good look on the second shot. All right, so I ended up pulling that tee shot a little bit to the left here. I actually got a fortunate break to end up over here in the rough. This can very easily head down into the rocks on this left-hand side, but now we've got a pretty good look into the green. It is red flag today, and this green has kind of two very distinct levels. The front half is low, and then there's a very big slope up to the back tier at the top portion of the green. The fairway bunker here short of the green is definite trouble. If you find yourself in there, it's one of those really awkward bunker shots in for your third. And then the pot bunker next to the green isn't nearly as much trouble, but of course we still want to avoid that if we can, especially since there's a lot of open area short and to the right of this green where chip isn't too difficult. So for this flag here, we have front right portion of the green, and we actually have that slope in the center of the green where it goes up to that top tier. We can actually use that as a bit of a backstop. So it's usually smart here to play to fly it pin high. If you bounce a little bit past, you might even come back a little bit off that slope. So it'll keep you from going too far over the back of the green or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have probably about 130 yards here. I'm going to go ahead and hit a pitching wedge, which is probably a little more than is needed. But again, if I go a little long, I'll have that slope there to help stop me. So let's see how we do. The most penalizing rule that you can encounter on the golf course is, of course, out of bounds, and that is any time that you leave the predetermined boundaries of the golf course. And those are typically marked with either a white line marked with paint on the ground, or white stakes like the one you see up the hill here behind me. But also in some cases it can be marked with either man-made or natural barriers, such as washes and rivers and creeks, or again, like this fence that we have up in this homeowner's yard here behind me. Those sorts of barriers are used as well. Anytime that your ball touches any part of that line, and if you had no distinct wall or line painted on the ground, what you would do is you would draw an imaginary line from one white stake to the next one ahead, and you go straight across to it. And if your ball is touching any part of that line, then your ball is out of bounds, and you would have to either go back to the tee and hit another tee shot with a penalty stroke, or you can take advantage of the new model local rule that the USGA has implemented, where you're able to go to the point, from the point where you went out of bounds, straight across into the fairway and 2 club lengths into the fairway for a 2-stroke penalty. So it basically cuts out that need for you to go back and re-tee your shot, and really that's a preferred option in most cases, because you can always hit that tee shot out of bounds again, which really starts adding your score up quickly. So again, you look for either the white stakes or the white lines, You can also find some natural or man-made barriers as well that'll be used for out of bounds. And then if you do end up touching any part of that line, or if you're on the other side of that line, your ball is out of bounds and you'd have to take relief with one of those options that I mentioned. Now the only other scenario to consider here would be if you wanted to play a provisional ball, if your tee shot looks like it went out of bounds but you're not quite sure if it is, and you want to avoid having to go back and re-tee or taking that other model local rule option, then what you can do is you can play a provisional ball, which is where you hit another tee shot, just in case when you get up there you do find that your ball is out of bounds. And if that's the case, then you can go ahead and abandon that ball and play the provisional ball instead. But if you do find your original ball and it is in play, then you're going to have to play it no matter what. So again, you always want to try to avoid out of bounds. It's the worst penalty that you can have in golf. But if you do find yourself in one of those areas, how do you identify it? We look for those white lines and stakes or those barriers. And then if you need to take relief for it, you take one of the options that I mentioned previously. All right, so as you can see, we did miss the green there right with the approach shot, but as you saw, I was able to just putt that one. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a pretty straightforward up and down from anywhere short or right of this green. So again, play that shot a little safe if you want. This is a definite par hole. You don't want to be too aggressive. If you manage to hit a perfect tee shot and you do get down there close enough and you have a good look at the hole, you can be a little more aggressive and try to make your birdie. But again, you're really just trying to stay away from those couple of fairway bunkers, keep yourself in good position to make a par, and then take advantage of the holes we have coming ahead.